writers, and welcome first time viewers to the Books by Adrian author platform and our newest show, Write the Damn Story. I am your host, Adrian Santiago. I have a co host today, Martin Lejeune. We're going to bring him on in just a minute. I just want to remind everybody like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell, helps the algorithm. Please do it. Only half of you are doing it. Please, just do it. It's a nice gesture. Thank you everybody for helping to make Live Stream Sunday season 4 such a big success and learning experience as well. And I cannot wait till you see what I have planned for season 5 because I am already in the throes of making it a very different experience. So different meaning better. And we have our sights set high once again for season 5. In the meantime, we're going to do this show for a month. We have 4 Sundays lined up, wherein we are going to write a short story together with Martin here. We're going to write the whole thing live, and by the end of it, have a finished 10,000 or so words short story. We have only set 2 rules: sci-fi and 10,000 words. And that's it. We're gonna build the whole thing from the ground up with you today, and you guys are gonna be a part of it, and you guys are gonna help us do it. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and bring out the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Martin Lejeune.
Hey, it's that guy I am.
Martin. ¿Qué
I'm not
pasa,
doing
Martin?
accent.
Check me out. Isn't that cute?
Hey.
I'm like adorable. With
Oh,
this shit.
that must have taken you ages to draw your hand just so.
I did not draw that. I manipulated it, but I did not draw it. Martin, just in
Hello.
case there's anyone in this chat that doesn't know you, but ideally for the replay, go ahead and introduce yourself, who you are, who you're from, where you're
Oh,
from.
it's fine. I dragged them all here
you
kicking and
doing?
screaming.
I'm sure most of them are here for you. Let's go
No.
ahead and take the floor. Take the floor.
They are all here for your luxuriant beard. My name is Martin Lejeune. I wrote this book. It is in my hand, a real thing right now. If you like space opera, check out the McMurdo Rift. It's basically The Expanse meets Casablanca. Earth created a grand and far-spanning empire. It rebelled.
Dude, the Casablanca, that sucks me in right away.
That's the idea.
Like, how does that work? I want to know immediately how that works.
It's got a bartender, and he's kind of world weary.
Let's say hi to the chat because there is a lot of people in the chat. Are a lot of people? I don't know where my English is today. Jenna, hello. Thank you for yes. Leave a like. Spread the love. Richard, how are you, sir? Always against me. This should be fun. Happy writing. Thank you very much. Barrett's gonna be lurking. He's at the grocery store. All right. Can the screen handle this? I don't know, man. It is a lot. Let me see here, but I'm not on the screen. Okay, all right. That probably goes on for a while. I'm gonna skip it. Amelia's here. Oh, now that Amelia's here, and Chris, let's go ahead and give a shout out to Barrett as well.
I mean, I would say go and get that book, but they didn't call it the Emerald Circle, so why bother?
Anyway, I won this on Barrett's channel, and he fucking like overnighted it.
Have you read the other 2?
I have not, but I have them. I have the digitals. I know. I'm gonna especially now that I have one in my hand.
The second one features a post-apocalyptic Luton airport. Which what more could you want? That's like that would be like setting like an American post-apocalyptic film in Newark, New Jersey.
I can't wait to read it, man. I have the first 2. I have them on ebooks. I just haven't been able to dive into them yet. It may even take them coming up on Tuber Book Club. But anyway, now I know who my nominee is on Tuesday for Tuber Book Club. We're going to do the first one of this. Yeah, man, or at least I'm going to pitch it anyway. People are going to vote. So
they can also vote for...
They could also vote for that. I'm sure that...
Dickie, get on it.
Dickie, get on it. Yeah. That's the best. Um, you put Dicky on it, it's gonna get done. That's all. Pause. All right.
You may not be able to monetize this channel going forward.
I think that ship has sailed. All right. I don't know what he's doing. All right. So, Martin, the plan today
Hello.
is to write a complete short story together over the next 4 weeks. The big challenge, I think, is the third unspoken rule, which is we can't work on this thing between shows. We can only work on it during the shows. So it limits how much time we have to get it done, but it also like you can't work on it during the week because then it's not fair to the people at home who are watching the process.
This was never part of the agreement, nor was giving
Yep,
hand to this bounty hunter.
yep. So that's like I said, it's an unspoken rule, but now I've spoken it, so now it's a rule. Anyway, that's just gonna make this a lot of fun today, man. We're gonna kick off some ideas. We're going to figure out what our story is. We're gonna hopefully by the end of this episode have at least the outline done. Um, you ready?
I was born ready.
All right. So
It's
we
not
just
strictly true. I was born premature and stuck in an incubator.
Dude, why do you gotta get so like heavy at the beginning of the episode, man?
Gotta have somewhere to go.
You gotta build to shit like that, bro. You don't just throw it out at the beginning. um, we're gonna talk about that later. All right, so Amelia's gonna bow out and catch up soon. Jenna is yeah, dude. Thank you everybody for Barrett said he was lurking, but he's full on in there. So thank you Barrett for being here. Thank you everybody for coming. All right, so let's talk ideas, Martin. We the rule is sci-fi, but that's very very broad. That could be anything. So my how where do you usually start with your story ideas? Do you start with a character? Do you start with a world? What do you start with?
Well, first I go live, and then I let everyone see the awkward bit where we make the sausage. Why would we do this?
Because nobody will. Nobody else will. That's
It's
why.
sort it's sort of a push pull between character and setting, and um, sometimes one comes first, and then you sort of build the other, and then you build the character to work with that. When I was first coming up with my novel, did I mention this?
What is that? I've never seen that before. What is that?
I came up with the character, and so this is a complete exclusive. The original idea was that the ship would get Star Trek Voyagered to some other part of space, and they'd have to find a way back.
Okay.
It was a terrible idea, so I didn't do it. That was the original concept. So I sort of was coming up with the character for that, and then came up with the world, and then came up with more of a world, and then it's like change the character back to match what I've now come up with, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Okay. Um, hold on. Let me share my screen over here so we can kick around some ideas. All right. Let me make sure that this is like muted or whatever. Yeah. Something. All right.
I did do a 1 hour TV pilot challenge on my channel back in March, and we had spinning wheels of genre to help us.
Okay, no. I don't do that shit. I create. All right, so here we go. So the way that I usually go about it, now that you've shared yours, is typically there's a seed that starts somewhere, and I don't necessarily know it until later. It'll start like collecting other ideas into it. So, for example, I've told this a million times, but with my manuscript that's currently with the editor, it started with what I thought was a short story, turned out to be a very long prologue to a very long novel to a continuously growing series. So you never know what it is that's going to start collecting all the ideas and grow and snowball on you and just become the biggest thing that you're working on. So since we're doing a short story, I probably if I was doing this on my own, I probably would have started with my classic snowflake method kind of
I have
day.
to say, the last short story I wrote actually started from reading government documents and wondering what would happen if I added zombies.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't know what it is that's gonna like spark the idea. So like if we're talking about sci-fi, I immediately feel like asking, are we talking space opera sci-fi, or are we talking something like Looper, where it's the
I
real
could go
world
for
but
something
there's time
Twilight
travel?
Zoney.
Something Twilight Zoney. I like that. Okay, so a freak, you know, a f- sorry about the kids. A freak occurrence or anomaly or something like that. Some
I
mysterious
like it when
thing.
something's happened that can't happen, but everyone treats it deadly seriously. And what I find with coming up with ideas is it's good to do whilst Adrian's muted and I fill the dead air.
No, I'm not mute. I'm trying to speak telepathically to my wife. I'm trying to like give her looks that mean things. I'm sorry, please.
You're watching Looks by Adrian.
I'm saying, dude, like, I mean, we all know the rules, kids. What's up? They're not usually like that.
Have you seen much of the original Twilight Zone?
First sausage. Now Adrian's talking about his seat. Oh my, come on, man. Yeah, you're rude. All right. So something Twilight Zoney, something that's weird, that stands out to some like freak thing that we can build a story around. Okay, I like that. I'm sorry. Where were you going with it? Because I was distracted by the kids. I
Have you
apologize.
seen much of the original Twilight Zone?
I have seen no. I've seen some episodes of the original Twilight Zone. I've seen some of the new one, but I'm familiar with the formula, so to speak. Your Black
Hmm.
Mirrors and stuff like that have sort of emulated Twilight Zone type formula. So I'm at least familiar with it that way. I suppose.
I mean, one idea I did come up with all on my own was what if there was something mysterious on a second floor of a hotel and no one would go near it?
Oh, now I see where you're going with this. Um, okay, but see, that's a supernatural story. That's a ghost story. That's not sci-fi, right?
But it could be.
How could it? Well, what do you mean, like Ghostbusters? You add technology?
Well, no, like, what if the reason people, find it spooky is that there's a time hole, or it's a gateway to the moon, or it makes the color purple self-aware.
Um, See, all right. For those of you at home, what he's referring to with the whole something on the second floor of a hotel and nobody will go near it is that he was Martin was talking to me while I was at work overnight. I worked the overnight shift, and I was confiding in him that my hotel may or may not be haunted. I now can never say where I work. Thanks, Martin.
That's usually a
So
good policy on the internet, to be fair.
still, um, um, listen, yeah, my
I mean,
hotel
I
my
just
hotel's a
assume
little
it.
haunted. There's a nice ghost, a very well behaved, seemingly positive energy type ghost that sort of haunts my lobby, and I occasionally see and or feel it. I see him on the monitors. I watch the monitors, and it catches him all the time. But there's a very, very scary ghost that haunts the second floor, or maybe many ghosts that haunt the second floor. And I I I don't even watch the second floor monitors anymore because of some of the stuff that I've seen on those monitors. Um,
I
it's
know you think I'm being facetious, but if you need story and you have things to draw on, then it
yeah.
makes sense. And I'm not saying let's do this. I'm just saying that's a thing
No,
where
I know
before
that.
we had no thing.
Well, I created a character in my novel who works at a hotel purely to get some of these stories out, because I have stories for years. Yeah, I whether it's crazy guests that I have to like physically fist fight, or if it's the crazy racist dude that's shouting hate in my lobby, or if it's the haunting ghosts or whatever
Now
it
you've
is.
got a title there. Hate in my lobby.
Hate in my lobby, Jesus. No, but the lobby ghost is nice.
Yeah.
I like the lobby ghost. He's cool. He doesn't bug me. I
But
thought
Richard
individual was.
does.
God damn it. No, I occasionally drive the hotel shuttle
The
to
space
help
shuttle
out.
was discontinued over 10 years ago.
The hotel shuttle. Anyway, all right. So I also want to get pitches from the audience too, like from the chat, if you guys have ideas. But is that what we want to do, Martin? Do you want to do a ghost story set in my hotel? Because I can do that. Like I'll write that like right
I
now.
wouldn't do a ghost story. If we could think of an interesting spin on it.
Yeah.
Um, but put that maybe put that on the maybe pile.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I'm gonna. All right. So here comes the maybe pile then. All right. So we're gonna do a note, and the note is ghost stories with sci-fi twist, right?
hmm.
Um, Possibly set in my hotel. All right. So we'll just leave that there for now. And all right. So what else do we got going on? Because now I'm thinking ghost stories in a hotel. Like,
I do
like
like it.
I put. I'm sorry. I put one like really big story that I have about a hotel I used to work at. It's not actually the one I work at now. I used to work security at this other hotel, so I was way more mobile. Not I wasn't stuck at the front desk like I am now, and I saw some stuff, man. And 1 2 week stint, the Freemasons were staying in my hotel for their initiation nights, and I'm the overnight security, so I saw some stuff, and I was like, "That's going in the book." like, like I'm putting all of that
Were
shit
they just
in the
like
book.
bringing a goat through the lobby, and you're
You're
just like,
no,
you're
but
that's going on your bill if you make a mess.
you're gonna have to read the book to see what they did, because the only thing I included in the book is what I actually saw, and I didn't see too much. They're very secretive. Like their floors are locked up. I couldn't go up there. They had their own security, obviously. But there was one activity that took place outdoors that I could watch from a hotel balcony. I went into an out of order room and I watched from the balcony. And so I stayed quiet. I was in the shadows and I just watched this really creepy stuff happen. And so I just put that in the book. That's in there.
Don't say anything that's going to get you in trouble. I'm worried now.
Ah, fuck them. Whatever. I ain't scared.
I ain't scared of no goats.
I ain't scared of no goats. Maybe I should put on some background music or something. Here we go. So, all right. Um, other hotel stories that could go sci-fi bendy. I have those too. Like there was a dude in my lobby once that appeared to have freak strength, like superhuman strength, and I always wondered if he was like if he had like robotic limbs or something, because he didn't look strong, but he was strong, and I don't know, stuff like that. The
I
freaking
think
$6 million man in your lobby.
I think when I'm doing shorts, I tend to come up with a concept more than a world or a character. I I wrote a short story about a postbox with a time hole in it, available now on Amazon, and that started with the idea of what happens if your favorite YouTuber randomly knocks on your door and says, "You gotta come with me right now." And it turned out the reason for that was because there was a postbox with a time hole in it.
Well, speaking of time holes, Adam has a good idea. There's a whole, TARDIS thing that can be done about this.
Does your hotel have a 13th floor?
No, we don't go that high. We only go as high as 6th. But my old hotel did not have rooms that ended in 13. They would skip 13 and go straight to 15 because you know how it's evens and odds. But ostensibly that makes room 15 room 13. But whatever. Yeah, so that's definitely a thing in the industry, the fear of the number 13.
It's weird, that, isn't it?
It's like mass superstitions. Interesting, huh?
I like the idea. Like maybe there's a floor that
there's something there. Mass superstitions. I need to write that down. There's something about that, right?
Do you know the Mandela effect?
Sure, which is arguably bullshit, but sure.
Oh, there's no arguably about it, but these things are quite useful for coming up with stories.
Oh yeah.
For people who aren't Adrian, when Nelson Mandela died, a ton of people turned around, or possibly one person who posted about it on the internet, and others agreed with him, insisted that, hang on, didn't that happen years ago?
13 is his lucky number. Traditionally, architects tend to skip the 13th floor for superstitious reasons or make the 13th floor a mechanical floor, or go for floors 12, 12A, and 14. I've never seen 12A. That's interesting. But the mechanical floor thing is one way to go about it, because you can make that floor need a key, right? So like nobody's ever going to go to the 13th floor unless they work there. So Adam's idea, which I keep coming back to, is a floor that isn't actually there, right? And then we're talking about time holes and portals and all this kind of stuff. It's meant to be sci-fi, so I instinctively see a little Doctor Who in there, a little bit of a TARDIS feel, so like because I mean arguably the door to the TARDIS is a portal to another dimension, right? Like this is
Richard will get out the technical manual and explain exactly how and why that is the case.
Richard, get on it. And
Richard's still grumpy that in the modern series you can see into the TARDIS from outside, because before they were crossing a dimensional threshold or something, and not because it was made for about 50p and good intentions and they simply couldn't afford it.
So here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a story where hotels en masse don't have a 13th floor. Even if there's a number 13 in the buttons, it's locked behind a key. Nobody can get into it. Whatever. But if you ever do get to floor 13, you're going to a floor that doesn't exist. You're going to another dimension, and something else is going on there. I'm seeing a character going into another world. Classic, right? Like, what am I feel like we're like this. This is rolling somewhere, but like I don't know. What do you think? Are you feeling it? Because I'm kind of feeling it.
I quite like the idea of a sort of your typical Alice in Wonderland, Chronicles of Narnia kind of thing, but rather than like an innocent child getting caught up in another world, it's a sort of jaded teen or 20-something who's not particularly impressed with any of it.
Maybe there's no number 13 on the panel, but if you're going up the stairs, there's a door on 13. It's locked, but if you can get that door open.
I quite like the idea that someone's staying in a hotel and they go out and they come back and their room's not there. And everyone's a bit, what are you talking about? That room's never... Why would we have a room number such and such?
Room 13.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not bad. What's so special about the room, though?
It contains a self-aware shade of the color purple. It contains an irate pet pirate rating pies.
I'm gonna write it down, man. I'm gonna write it down. Room 13, right? Doesn't exist, but contains self-aware color purple. I still don't really know what that means, but I wrote it down. Richard was schooling us on the TARDIS. There's a movie like this, guys. A hotel room where the walls literally have ears. Literally? Like literally ears.
You can't just, like...
And then it speaks.
I mean, you can't just say...
It's Adam is writing the story for us. The room that doesn't exist is where Hitler hid after World War II. That's a damn good idea. Adam, where is your book, bro? Where's your novel? Stop fucking around.
I think he's starting a third novel.
You have good ideas, dude. Cuts off the ears of its occupants and shows them itself. What? It's where Elvis lives. Fucking Elvis. Elvis and the aliens. And Tupac. They're all in that room. I don't know, man. What are you feeling? What are you really, like, honestly feeling?
It's an interesting idea, but it's not a story.
What, the room thing?
Yeah, and like Adam said, there was a film with a hotel room in. So I don't know if he's saying we can't do it.
I mean, there's every story has been written. I don't worry about shit like that. Write the story that you want to write. It's going to be different no matter what you do. The room thing is interesting, but like you say, it's not really necessarily a story. But neither is the other one. The other idea being the floor. These are pieces that could, you know.
I quite like the idea of there being a mishap and someone's given the room key that goes to the other dimension by mistake. That could be interesting.
You know, in ghost stories especially, I maybe it's because it's such a like well-made version of the genre that like every like trope is done really, really well in it. But in Haunting of Hill House, there's that door that nobody can open. It's always locked, and they're looking for keys, and they even try like the master key that's supposed to open every door, and it doesn't open and you know. But what they don't realize is that it does open for them when it wants to, and it lets them in when it wants to, and they don't realize that they're in there when they're in there, and the room is slowly devouring them over time. And it's this brilliant, you know, reveal towards the end of that season. And it's I don't know, man, like there's like I said, it's just like a really well done version of that same trope that you're talking about, where like you know, somebody gets the key to the room that they're not supposed to have, or the door opens for the door that's never supposed to open opens. You know, that's the same thing I was thinking with the door to the 13th floor. You know, that door is never supposed to open. It's a mechanical floor, supposedly, or whatever it is, but nobody ever really goes up there. There's never any reason to. Nobody ever has, and you know, the door's always locked. Nobody knows where the key is. Nobody really asks. Nobody questions. Nobody cares. But then somebody gets in there. Like, it just opens for somebody.
So the question is, what is the 13th floor?
And who is the somebody? Because those are the two things that are going to matter. Who the somebody is, and why it matters that they have discovered this 13th floor. Well, I like the idea that it's a portal to somewhere else. The door, that is a portal to somewhere else. That
Another
floor
dimension, another time and space.
Or yeah, another time, yeah, exactly. Like maybe it's exactly a normal, you know, hotel floor, but it takes place, you know, 100 years ago or whatever, and the people in that room are people that, you know, died long ago, and you can have conversations with them, or maybe it's you know, it's a completely different planet altogether. And the inhabitants are a completely different race. Maybe it's not even a floor. Maybe it's not even a floor. Maybe like you open the door and you are somewhere
On a slide.
else. Yeah, or somewhere else entirely. I don't know.
Oh, writing's hard. Do you want to play video games?
Writing is hard. How long have we been at this? Only half an hour. Feels like ages.
So
no, I love the writer's room, dude. I love kicking ideas back and forth with people, and
it's wonderful.
And it's really important to me to not be, what's it called? Like, to not let the ego rule. You know what I mean? Like, we're kicking around ideas. We're trying to do something together. It's fun. It should be fun. The 13th floor leads to the 13th century. What happened in the 13th century? Is that the... What? Which one is it?
Nothing actually happened at all.
What's significant in the 13th century? I'll bet there's something. Something happens in every century. Let's see. I'm going to look it up. Significant historical events in the 13th.
Oh, you had some crusades going on.
Century. Yeah. End of the big crusades. Mongol Empire founded by Genghis Khan. The creation of the Magna Carta.
Oh, that's good. It's one of my favorite cartas.
The siege of Baghdad. And Marco Polo explores Asia via the Silk Road. Interesting. Okay. So you open the door and you're in like Mongol China.
We have plenty of time to research that country and historical period.
It's a short story. We don't have to get too deep into it. It's one adventure. It's one little like thread that we can follow. I know a little bit about Genghis Khan. I can I can make up a bunch of shit. I can fill in the holes. Yep. Does anyone remember Goodnight Sweetheart? I have no idea what that is.
Yes, I do.
I missed the start of the stream by hopping in mid-conversation to hear something about floors.
I am genuinely surprised it's Adam talking Goodnight Sweetheart and not Richard.
And just want to wait to...
I should probably fill you in that Goodnight Sweetheart was a sitcom which was written because the writer wanted, in the 90s, this writer wanted to do a comedy show about adultery. And the BBC said, no, you can't do that. And then he came back with, but what if there's time travel? And they said, time traveling adultery is fine.
It sounds about right, man. That's just good creative thinking right there. Richard said, as long as it sounds kind of historically accurate, then who cares?
So the question is, who is getting a room key to the 13th floor?
All right, so the 13th floor is leading to the Genghis Khan era, his empire, right? What if our character is Marco Polo? What if
The
he's
pool
out?
attendant.
What if he's from our time and our place, and he's who ends up following Genghis Khan around?
What if it's Hannibal just getting vinegar supplies?
Hannibal Lecter?
No, the historic crossing the Alps on elephants Hannibal.
That Hannibal, right? I don't have time to research that.
Yes, this is my issue with historical.
Yeah. Marco Polo on another planet.
Hey, Mama Mag is here.
This is sounding a bit like Timeline by Michael Crichton, and I like it. I do love Timeline by Michael Crichton.
Now we're just talking about eating elephants.
Eating elephants. All right, dude. So, okay. What are we thinking here? Let's see. The 13th floor doesn't open for anybody, but it opens for one person. And Martin is clearly not married to the Genghis Khan era setting because it's too much research. So that's still open.
I mean, I'm assuming you can just fake it all as Khal Drogo and call it close enough.
Yeah, that's based. Yeah, you can... yeah, that's basically what Khal Drogo was. He was Genghis Khan. Okay. All right. So if not there, instead it leads. What is he talking about?
I have little or no idea.
Okay. I'm like, did I say something? Did he say something? Who said something about Mrs. Mary? It's like, I didn't say it. Okay. All right. So the door opens for somebody, and the 13th floor is something else, or somewhere else, or sometime else. Okay. If not the 13th floor to the 13th century, then maybe the 13th floor leads to
The New Jersey Turnpike.
where our character gets hit by a truck.
Wait, no, that's a
And
different
dies.
thing. It leads to Delaware. Milton Keynes.
Oh, so
That
wait.
shopping centre at Westfield.
So I mean, is it like a Beam John Malkovich type situation where you are temporarily somewhere and then you get spat back and you just want to go back in?
That could work. Yeah, I like that.
And then in that way we can have him coming and going, him or her coming and going. The Mongols cause nothing but carnage. How about Genghis Blonde? And it could be about a secret drag queen club.
I've already written books about drag queen clubs.
Oh, you know,
They're back there.
it's been done. It's been done.
Ask me sometime about the time a drag act stole my drag name.
All right, so okay.
I like the idea that you book a hotel room, you find yourself somewhere not quite a hotel room, but it's been a long
Wandering or
day
something,
and you're
yeah.
tired, and then after a while you just get spat back into reception in your gym jams.
There was
That was the look of someone who was quite impressed with the idea, but irritated at the amount of people he sees in reception in their gym jams.
you read me like an open book. There's this comedian, Ali Siddiq, and he has this hilarious story of one time that a friend of his gave him a bag of mushrooms, and he ate them thinking that they were mushroom chips, like they were just regular mushrooms that you buy at a grocery store, not knowing what they were. He ate the whole bag, and his friend comes back and is like, where are all your mushrooms? And he's like, I ate them. They needed a little salt, but they were pretty good. And he's like, all right, listen, you need to get back to the hotel. They're comedians. They're out, touring. He's like, you need to get back to the hotel, get back to your hotel room, and stay there. Don't go anywhere. Don't call anybody. It's gonna get really real for you really soon. And he's not picking up what he's explaining, but he ends up going back to the hotel, and they're kicking in by then. And so his elevator doors open to his floor, and the pattern on the rug is very wavy. So he thought that it was a pool, that there was water from the elevator all the way down the hallway. And so he was terrified to set foot in there, thinking that he was going to sink into the pool. So he goes back down to the lobby and yells at the lobby attendant, who puts a pool on the 4th floor. I can't get to my room. I can't be swimming right. And she's like, are you high? And he goes, I gotta go. And he gets out of and that's what I'm thinking about when you're talking about somebody coming to the lobby and like, wait a minute, like I was just spat out of, like, that's a person that's just out of it and has no idea what's going on. I had a dude like that last night. He was just completely out of it. And it's like, what are you on? Next time, take much less of it. Like, you took way too much, whatever it is. What's Martin's drag name? Why are we? You open the door and you think it's just a themed room until the occupant from like the Renaissance appears on the Goldilocks. Martin?
I like the idea that they might just end up in quite a nice bedroom and start to have quite a nice kip. And then they go back up to the room and they're somewhere like, that planet from Avatar or something.
Okay. It's a married couple.
Mm-hmm.
Because
because romance sells much better than sci-fi.
It's a married couple. They check in. They're gonna go up to the room. There's a bunch of people waiting for the elevator, so they decide to take the stairs. They go past. They get to what they think is their floor. They open the door. It takes them somewhere else, and they get spat back out. This time they go to their real room and they're talking over all the experiences that they had and how much they want to go back. They start sneaking off to go back and getting spat back out at different times and running into each other. And I don't know, I'm losing it from there. But you
kind of like River Song.
I don't know River Song. What's it? From Firefly. Yeah.
No, New Doctor Who. Have you seen New Doctor?
What am I thinking?
They did a whole thing in Doctor Who where he gets married and they're like every time he runs into her.
Yes.
It's earlier than the last time he saw her.
Yeah, she meets him at the end and he meets her at and they're going in opposite directions in time. Yes, of course. Okay. So you're saying that it warps them and puts them on opposite tracks from each other.
What if this is a husband or a wife and they stay in this room every year trying to find the person they originally went in there with?
Explain further.
So, backstory is they stayed in this room, found it wasn't a room, but one of them managed to find their way back to the real world, and the other one is still in there. But when they went back in, they were somewhere completely different, and they haven't been able to find them. And they're hoping to recreate the original circumstances to land at the same destination.
So sort of in the way that, like, in the Matrix, like a door. You turn the key one way and it leads one place, and you turn the key another way, it leads to a different place. They went into different places, and
Yes,
now
like
they
your
can't
Matrix
find,
key.
and now they can't find each other anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we're following one of them this time. This short story is that we're following one of them on one of these visits to this room in the hopes that when they open the door, they will be there. We can set up the backstory of how many different times they've been there before, and each time it doesn't work. What if this is the time that it does? What if this is the time where they open the door and there they are, and they've been having completely separate lives? What is that conversation like?
You said you were just nipping out to the shops. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, for the other one, it was 5 months or whatever. Like, it can be a completely different amount of time too. Like, it can be. We can play with how it affects each of them differently, but yeah, like the story then is that conversation between them as a married couple who has lived separate lives because of this room. I kind of dig it.
And why are they going to blame the reception dude?
Why do they have to blame the reception dude?
I don't know. I keep feeling compelled to write a long-suffering reception dude.
It's never the front desk guy's fault.
Why does he deserve to be punished? Because he has such luxuriant hair.
Yeah, that's what it is. No, it's because anybody behind a desk gets punished. I'm supposed to be relaxing right now, Martin. You brought me back to work. All right, let me see here.
I'm a bad man.
All right, so married couple got separated due
Man, your
to
spreadsheet
a
looks
room
weird.
it's not a spreadsheet. This is just my idea dumps. Married couple got separated due to a room that doesn't exist. They've visited yearly. What are we saying? Yearly?
Yeah, like it. Well, I like the idea of trying to recreate the exact circumstances, but would you actually have waited a year?
No, I don't suppose that you would at first, but maybe over time, the longer you wait, the more interval you would put between your attempts. Sort of jaded with it.
Yeah.
It depends on how long it's been going on. Okay, so for now, for a placeholder, I say they visited...
I think we need to start quite early in it, because otherwise, like, if he's been doing this for decades, then why now?
Why does it work now?
Why would we be joining him now?
Because this is the one time that it works. I mean, that's the story as far as I can tell that you're going when you set up a scenario where you have a married couple that's separated due to a room that doesn't exist. The next thing that happens, whenever it happens, is that eventually it'll work, that they'll meet again. And then the question is what happened and how and why and how did it affect them and how did it change them? Are they even a married couple anymore?
Is one of them a self-aware shade of the color purple?
Like what if one of them has been living without their spouse for 15 years. I mean, for all they know that the other one is dead, they may have moved on and remarried even. And, the spouse comes back this time and it's only been a few months for that one. And is in their mind, they're still married. Like something crazy happened here, but we're still married. No, this was, like Castaway style. You come back and she's married and has kids and stuff. That's kind of Twilight Zone-y, right?
Yeah, I dig it.
Because again, it makes it all about the drama between the two of them.
Yeah. I like it. We got a
Horror aspect twist. Hubby finally gets back to the room, and the wife is a mummy.
oh yeah, so she could have had kids whilst she was in there. That would make sense.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, Room. You remember that movie, Room? Did you ever see that one?
I did not see that one.
It's with damn it, what's her name? She's Captain Marvel, Brie Larson.
Envy Adams.
And yeah, it's a mom and their kid who have been locked in a room by someone for years. The kid was born in there and knows nothing else. The whole world, as far as the kid knows, is this one room, and it's the story of what happens when they get out. It's crazy. It's a good movie.
I like Mama Maggie's suggestion.
No, not The Room. It's just called Room. The Room is the.
I like the suggestion that the hotel is about to be torn down, and that's why.
That's why she visits.
That's why it's one last ditch attempt. It's good because it raises the stakes.
Yeah. Okay. Like the next day, it's it's getting. So the hotel is already abandoned. It's not like she's a guest or anything returning. Mm-hmm. He or she is coming back to an abandoned hotel and going up to this room. Yeah.
I mean, what's your gut instinct? Are we following the husband or the wife?
My gut instinct is we're following the wife, and the husband has been gone.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, in your face, default white male.
I don't know why I just sympathize with that more because, yeah, man. If she's left holding the bag, and especially if it turns out that it's not even his fault, like just some shit, some weird, sci-fi shit happened, it's not his fault. Makes it interesting. So,
the reason he's left it some time could be due to the fact that he's been in prison for killing his wife.
All right, so if we're following him, everybody thinks that he killed his wife.
Sorry, no, I said that words wrong. The wife's been in prison because everyone thinks she killed her husband.
Ah. Yeah, we could play with like hotel surveillance cameras, never saw him leave, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Is he chopped up in her luggage? People start to wonder.
There was a podcast about it.
Of course, there's several true crime podcasts about it. I like that touch. All right, so then her life was completely ruined in that way. She served time. It was never proven. It was never proven she didn't do time. But she's still like this nationally hated, like monster who murdered her husband or whatever, mm-hmm. right? And got away with it.
Yeah. Unless she's been in prison, then she wouldn't have got away with it.
Right. I'm saying she couldn't have gone in prison because you can't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt. Like,
my wife assures me that in the American legal system, the merest hint they can send you down forever.
Yeah, fair enough.
Justice for Adnan.
Yeah, no shit, bro. Yeah, that's a really good point. They visited often, try to reunite, but it never works. But then she's not. So okay. So then what happens? So she hasn't been visiting back and forth since the separation, since his disappearance. She's been in jail. She's been going mm-hmm. to trial and ended up in jail. And then when she gets out, she finds out they're destroying the hotel. And she goes back to try and find him.
Or could it be that like it's still open as a hotel, but it's the last week? Like they're closing at the end of the month, and she books in for for one attempt to recreate what had happened.
I like a shorter time crunch just for, and that was your idea actually for the sort of like urgency of it, the ticking clock. But if this is a room that doesn't exist, right? That means that she could go into an abandoned hotel that isn't running and walk up to that room and open the room and it's pristine. And it's like the day that she was there with her husband and there he is. You know what I mean? Like it's not like the rest of the hotel. It's not run down and in a bed. It looks perfect. That everything works perfect. It's heaven in a hotel. Because that's how the devil presents himself, right? As beautiful. But it never worked. Okay, so we're losing this part. All right, so they're separated due to a room that doesn't exist. She's found guilty of murdering her husband and serves time for years.
I like the idea that anyone who knows them would consider the whole notion of her murdering the husband faintly ridiculous. Because people do assume that wives have a harder time than murdering husbands and the other way around.
And yet it seems like there's no other explanation. Like they don't believe that she could, but what else happened? Where is he?
Yeah, exactly. All
right. I'm just updating here. All right. I think this is going to end with the hotel falling down around them. Yes?
That works.
A nice, tragic, horrible ending, maybe.
God, it's got so dark so quickly. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting it to be like, what if those Sherbet spaceship suites were real spaceships?
Most of my stories get dark pretty quick.
And that children were cannibals.
Yeah, see, that's not dark.
Oh, mate, I've been talking to you for an hour and I'm already as dark as you are.
The elevator floor gets off at which floor of the elevator, just for reference, so I know to stay at this hotel. Not to stay at this hotel. Yeah, we're thinking the 13th floor, right? 13th floor, room 13. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, 1313.
1313. Feeling very 13th floor. Is that a thing? Is that already a thing? Something called the 13th floor? I'm sure it is. I don't care.
Is there am I thinking of a Doctor Who thing where there's like a dimensional rift or something and then they build a skyscraper to meet it? Or is that Fringe or something?
Isn't that that's very Tower of Babel? That's very, reach for the gods with a tower.
I think it was a TV reference rather than a biblical one, but I don't know, it's not quite what we're saying, so I think we're good.
All right. Let me see here. All of a sudden the chat is hopping. Let me see. Before it gets off, which for the hotel where the blood gets off. It's just for reference. Oh, we already did that. Okay. He's okay, agreeing with you. Really wants to know which floor. Yes, Martin. I think we're all reading too much of Nightmare Tenant.
Come back on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun, dude. And then the interview 2 weeks after that. All right, so we're entering our second hour here, so we're gonna have to start writing pretty soon. But I'm liking where we're at.
Oh, that's good.
What do you? So how are you feeling about the idea so far?
Yeah, it's good.
What is missing? That's essential about the story in here. What am I missing?
I think we need to know a bit more about what the backstory is that resulted in the missing husband, and
I think
where
that's
he
the
is.
story. I think that's the story that we're going to unravel between their conversation is what exactly happened. Maybe that's what they figure out together.
I mean, I think you want to show and not tell.
No, that's I don't mean that he's just going to spill the beans. Neither one of them understands it. It's through their conversation that they're able to finally wrap their heads around what happened.
Here's a thought, maybe.
Hit me.
I say a thought. Here's a vague collection of words. Pan's Labyrinth.
Love it. One of my favorite movies of all time. Thank goodness Amelia is not here right now.
It's like
She hates everything Guillermo del Toro has ever done.
in a moment, Richard's going to tell his story about how he went to see Shape of Water in a cinema and didn't like it, and how
He
somehow
really
that goes on beyond that sentence.
he's Richard. We know. You don't.
It's
Have to
funny.
tell us.
He'll spend like a day reading a book and then quietly close it and put it on his did not finish pile. But if he sees half an hour of a film he doesn't enjoy, he will tell you about it for years.
He's already doing it.
I love you, Dickie. Let's meet up in London again soon. Call me.
Shape of Water is amazing, and I don't understand it. I don't understand.
Yeah, I like that kind of
Really doesn't
idea
like it.
of there's sort of an otherworldly door, like that could be the sort of frame of reference for our dimensional wanderings.
All right, so the suggestion here is, what if no time has passed for him at all?
Yeah,
My gut reaction to this is that she would look vastly different to him, and he would immediately realize how long he's been gone. And that is of course gonna trip him out and everything. But how do you feel about that? Is that where we want to go with
I
it?
mean, he's disappointed, but he's also kind of into cougars.
We're never gonna get anything done if you keep making me laugh. All right. I'm gonna need more water soon.
Same's is. Richard, get another round in.
Yeah. Chop chop.
I'm also kind of feeling like one thing that no one said yet is The Shining, which in the canon of hotel fiction probably needs to be acknowledged.
Sure. But that's. I mean, that's. I don't know if I would call it a haunted house story, but isn't that more or less what that is? That's not the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, but I kind of just felt we needed to acknowledge that was something else that's in, not a million miles from what we're kicking around.
No, sure, but we're kicking around a short story. I'm not trying to make a movie or write a novel.
Oh, let's make a movie.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, that's an instinct that kicks in that I'm trying to get a hold of.
I have that same problem.
Tell me about your comic book. Wait, no, don't. Let's write this.
I would love to tell you about the graphic novel, but maybe another time. Maybe a whole episode for that. All right, so
we need some names.
We need some names. Okay, I am ready with that. Here we go. So we're talking about a couple who has been split apart and have two very different experiences and then are reunited. She has been put through the ringer. She's bruised, broken, just, a shell of her former self, whereas he has it been instantaneous for him, or has he had his own experiences?
He's had his own experiences, but we're talking hours, not days. Or days, not weeks.
Okay. What?
I really
Have
want
to say.
to. I really want to read Mama Maggie's story about a cow princess.
This is actually a good point that that half the set places in the Shining movie aren't in the real Stanley Hotel. These uh, places that don't exist inside the hotel, right?
Hmm.
Well, why is her name's Shelly because she's a shell of her former self. Bit on the nose, Richard.
Have you read Nightmare Tenant?
Oh, shots fired.
I mean, Adrian, we're never getting any work done if you keep making jokes.
Yeah, I'm the problem. Okay. All right. So, for her, we're talking about. All right. I want to figure out what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a
Mary,
name. No. No.
as in Shelley, because she's a shell.
All right. Meaning and keywords. What are some meanings that we're going for with her as a character?
Spoilers for Adrian's novel if you want to know what other his names he's looked for meanings behind.
What? Oh no, I think those are.
If you want a name that
No.
means large, just call her Big Bertha.
I don't think those are searches by me. I think those are suggestions. I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway. Okay, so we're going for she's really changed and maybe he hasn't so much, right? So then maybe something in the realm of change or transformation. Let's see. Nope, that's not going to work for me. Let's eliminate one of these. Same. Okay. Then how about something about her journey? Let's see. To travel at night. Nothing's jumping out at me yet. Let's keep going. What else do we know about her? We know that she's spent time in prison. That's probably hardened her a lot. Probably. It's funny. The title of this thing is gonna be like our the thing that keeps us on track. What's it called? Our whip.
Oh yeah, the last episode is just going to be us in tears trying to think of a title.
Yeah. Just typing like madly trying to get it all done. Okay, so what about okay, so maybe revelation, maybe reveal, Goliath. Is that where I got the name of my book from? Maybe, you don't know. Let's
Could
see.
call her Gale, Ieth.
Gale Ith. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking
Nevermore.
Traveling Tracy. This is why you're not naming our characters, Richard. That's the last of my water. I'm gonna have to re-up soon. The door to Dora's despair. All right, you know what? What does Dora mean? Short form of Dorothy. So let's go to Dorothy. English form of Dorothea, which meant gift of God. Marge, as in large. Is that how you spell Marjorie? Form of Margaret. All right, meaning pearl. That's interesting, right? Because it's like hidden beauty inside of like this tough exterior. That might work. Margaret. Margarita. Margaret. What do you think?
Yeah.
Her name's Margaret. Her name is... Where's my thing? There it is. All right, so her name's Margaret. All right, now what's his name?
Tim.
Why Tim?
Because we've only got so much time, and we can change it later.
Honoring God. We can change it later. We can change it later. You're so smart. All right, Timothy. Good old Timothy.
Plus, it means that their celebrity couple's name could be trademark.
All right, so we've got the mass superstition in place with the whole 1313, right? Mm-hmm. Room 13 doesn't exist. This is not a thing anymore. I don't want to hear any more about sentient purple. All right, so this ended up not being a thing. All right, trash. Okay. Married couple gets separated due to the room. Mm-hmm. She lives on with the reputation of having killed her husband. He disappeared that day. For him, it's been maybe a couple of hours. For her, it's been something like 15 years. Mm-hmm. Okay, she comes back because the hotel will soon be demolished. She's going to try one last time to go into the room, and there is her husband, and he's wondering where she's been for the last few hours, and she's wondering where he's been for the last 15 years. What happened? Why did they get separated? Why did this happen? And or how? Portal to another reality? Has he been living in another dimension?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your standard Type 5 Narnia wardrobe situation.
Standard wardrobe situation. Let's see here. Murderous Margaret Malley. Oh boy. Dan, welcome. Hello, dude. So rare to see you around these parts. Hello. And no. All right. So, why did this happen to them? Is it because of something they did? Is it because of who they are? Is it, why did this happen? Did this happen at a good time in their marriage? Were they happy? Were they going through problems?
I think they might be young honeymooners.
Young honeymooners. Ooh, okay. Young honeymooners. I like that. Okay. All right. Young honeymooners. All right. Okay. So on the night of their wedding, or like on the night of the wedding, this goes down.
Not necessarily. Like maybe they've been away. Like they've gone one place for the honeymoon. Now they're checking into the second place. Or like maybe they're driving back and it's like a stopover.
Seen rarely, but we're all excited when he shows up. Is this story set in the 70s?
No.
No, it's not. Modern times?
Yeah.
If she's getting out now, then the event happened 15 years ago. Are we starting when she's getting out of prison? She's like walking out?
I think so, yeah. I think that's a good entry point.
I agree. First day out of prison. All right, honeymooners. They've been to a couple of places maybe in their honeymoon. They've, I don't know how to spell honeymoon. There we go. Okay. And and this happened to them. Why? This happened to them because, I mean, this is a room that the hotel has rented to other people before. Why hasn't this happened before to someone else?
I think it's a room that the hotel doesn't rent out to other people. Tried using as storage for a bit, but couldn't find their mops again, and now just doesn't mention it. But if you were going for a more farcical approach, it would be that the guy at the desk just issued the wrong room by mistake and didn't realize until interdimensional whoopses had occurred.
A room that should never be rented out.
Yeah.
Like a perpetually out of order room. But when you go in, you would never know it by looking at it.
9 times out of 10, unless the planet's aligned.
So then the dates are significant, right? And the time in between.
What I'm thinking is the dates probably are significant, but no one exactly knows how the timing works, or at least no one still there knows how the timing works. And the hotel's had enough complaints that they've just simply gone, no, we don't bother. And when the hotel chain is like, you're not maximizing profit, you haven't been renting out this room, what's going on? They're just like, we've got a Type XJ situation there, we don't do it, and enough bureaucracy to stop anyone asking too many questions.
Yeah.
Because these big hotel chains probably do have enough extra dimensional shenanigans that they're like, right, yeah, it's easier than the lawsuits, just block it off.
Well, I mean, at the old hotel when the Freemasons were staying with us, this is not a 5-star or a diamond hotel or whatever it is. This is not a luxurious hotel. We were in a very, very kind of rinky-dink, kind of a shitty hotel in the middle of a shitty neighborhood. And I asked my manager when I found out that they were staying there, I was like, why here? Like, wouldn't they be staying at like some swanky, like, I mean, Disney's, right? They have huge, beautiful suites and stuff. Like, we don't have anything like that. Why are they staying here? Because nobody's looking for them here. Nobody would ever expect to find them here. That's why they're here. They can rent out 2 whole floors and do whatever the hell they want up there. It doesn't matter what the place looks like. They don't care. They just care that nobody's looking for them here. And that says a lot about like the behind the scenes kind of workings with all that, the hotels and everything. I just love that Richard Holiday says he's fucked for the Nightmare Tenant sequel now. The clerk is watching the playoffs and just hands over a key to make them leave so he can get back to the game. Okay, so you don't know how many times people will forget their keys, lose their keys, leave, lock themselves out of the room, and they come down and they get a new key. And of course, in these newer hotels, we have key cards, so we have to physically like go to a machine and like make it, right? But there's always the possibility of mistakes. You could mean to give them keys to room 16 and move your finger down by accident and hit 13 and give them keys to room 13. So maybe it's something like that, like she goes or one of them goes.
Yeah. I think what Adrian's trying to say is there's a machine to make the keys, and it probably wouldn't be here's your key situation, but more of a typo. Definitely see how that might happen. What hotels have you stayed in? Write in the comments.
And realistic.
We lost you for a moment there.
Oh, I was just saying, but the mistake is still doable. It's still realistic that mistake would be made and does get made. Yeah, Dan, you're talking about adjoining rooms. 2 rooms that have doors that go between them, but there are 2 sets of doors so that you could lock them from either side. And yes, if you happen to be a family that's renting out both rooms, you would typically open those 2 doors and have twice as much room.
Yeah. I like the idea that 15 years later, there's some former hotel guy who believes her but isn't in a situation to actually help until now.
I mean, I relate to that too, man. You know, the idea that like somebody says something happened, and I'm like, I believe you. I've seen some weird stuff too. So
Like you can't you can't just
but what am I
get
gonna
put
do
on,
about it?
like you can't just get put on the witness stand and be like, oh yeah, that's the time travel room. No, she's not making it up, honest.
Motels maybe. No, yeah, I know some do. A slip of the finger. Giggity. So, all right. Key mix up, right?
I mean,
wrong
could it
door.
be that I mean, is it too much of a coincidence to just have it be a mistake?
Sure, unless you attribute the mistake to a higher design. But sure, yeah, ultimately you don't want coincidences to rule or whatever. So yeah,
If you're watching this as a precursor to a course on story writing, coincidences equal bad.
yeah, coincidences are bad. Coincidences to get your character into trouble are okay. Coincidences to get your character out of trouble are bad. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll do it. Evil forces compel the clerk to issue the wrong key against.
It's always
his
evil
will.
forces with you.
He's still running that haunted hotel thing. For us, it's more Twilight Zone-y, right? So, okay, so it's a freak anomaly of the room based on like the alignment of the stars or something like that. Like it's a timing thing, and their timing on that time separated them. All right, so I think what we have to figure out ultimately in order to have a complete story here is why the separation happened, what it means.
Yeah.
And whether or not this is something that they are going to fix or if it is unfixable.
I want it to be fixed. I would quite, maybe it's a romantic in me, but I would quite like a Star Trek Voyager style reset button and everything ends up okay, even though it's crap. But I just feel really bad for these kids, you know?
Well, I feel like we are robbing ourselves of deep, rich character stuff by making the by making the effect on him so slight and so almost inconsequential. I feel like it should be heavier. I feel like he should go through his own sort of horribleness.
I think wherever he is, there are some locals.
How about this? Both of them walked out of the room that day.
Yeah?
She walked out in a reality where he disappeared. He walked out in a reality where she disappeared. Their time apart has been the same, but they've been living in different universes where things went differently.
What if...
Butterfly affecting all the way until when they finally reunite, they're from completely different worlds.
What if he walked out of a room where she didn't disappear and was still there, but it's not her?
Meaning it's her other universe version of herself?
She's been changelinged.
Changelinged.
As in the folklore, folklore rather than the shapeshifters, but like, you know, like the some beastie from the other world has replaced her.
I don't know that we need that. Only because
This is a lot for 10k, I have to say.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would compile. Like, I think that just the
Like,
separation alone is enough to create incredible drama here.
I think him being locked in a cupboard probably works in our favor for the word count.
Yeah, not that whole wipe kind of fix. The you mentioned like a do over, right?
Yeah.
Like a
I'm just a romantic.
yes, but that also like negates the importance of what came before. There should
I,
always
I,
be
I like
consequences.
I like the idea, for her it's been 15 years. For him, it's just been long enough for him to be slightly worried that she's been gone this long and he's still handcuffed to the bed.
I don't know why I just don't that doesn't resonate with me as much. Again, I feel like the more experiences they both have, the more of an impact this will have on their life, both of them, and the more change they will both be when they reunite. And again, the question is: are they still a married couple? Are they still each other's? You know, and we're talking about two people who live two very different lives. You know, and not only that, but two very different worlds. You know, like they probably have different presidents. You know what I mean? Like it could be very very Twilight Zoney that way, where it's completely two separate universes. I don't know. What are you thinking?
At what point, like, how much of the story is it her searching for him, and how much of the story is it them together again?
Well, if we're starting on the day that she gets out of prison, and she's going straight there, then she hasn't been looking for him. She's been in prison. She's been dealing with the chaos of the consequences of his disappearance. I'm assuming that his reality was not one where he ended up going to prison. I don't know yet what happened differently in his life over there, but he probably went on to have a whole life, good or bad, whatever. But I just don't see the same fate happening to both of them. I would like them to have two very different experiences, especially if she suffers so much on account of his disappearance. It would be interesting if he actually had a really decent time of it, and now there's tension between them. There's animosity coming from her. You know what I mean? Like she resents him greatly. And the ending would be that they discover that they both are alive, but because of the stuff that happened, they cannot get back together because too much went awry. Yeah, like if they've been changed too much, like irrecoverably. Am I saying that right?
No, but I'm getting tired, so let's move on.
Yeah. All right.
See, this is where you need a spreadsheet because you want to say this is where they meet up again, and then this is how much.
So here's usually what I do with my outlines. Then once I have like my ideas like this, I'll go over and I'll make my outline. Here we go. All right. So I'll make my outline where I'll set up some turning points that I need to fill in, right? Knowing what I know about the story. So we have the setup of her, the setup / catalyst, the status quo, so to speak. And then where's my spelling? The catalyst being she gets out of prison and finds out that the hotel is being demolished. So she is out of prison to find the hotel is being demolished. All right. The sort of like decision and point of no return comes when she decides to go and walks into the room, right? All right, and enters the room to find her husband there waiting. All right, Now, the back and forth between them, everything that happens in the middle chunk of the story, your pinch all the way up to the crisis, is the conversation back and forth. And you know, to your point of showing not telling, I'm seeing a lot of like somebody's narrating a story, we cut into that story and
Yeah.
see it play out rather than hear them telling the story. You know what I mean? And their conversational dialogue parts is more for when they're actually revealing something about themselves to each other. So here we get the explanations of her being accused and tried and convicted. Is that right? Tried, convicted, and living what, 15, 20 years in the system?
Yeah. Like 15, I think is a good number.
I mean, she's coming out with tattoos and a girlfriend and maybe a gang that she runs. Like, she's gonna be a different person when she gets out of that. 15 years in like, not, you know, like a prison, American prison. Yeah, she's coming out like with a hard edge, to say the least, right? And especially if she's fresh out right here, right? Like she's raw, and the world is so different to her now.
I like the idea that there's a, like, from her point of view, she knows, like, more than anything, she just knows she has to get him out of there because she's left him in the other world, and it's on her to get him back because she's let him down. And like that being a sort of motivation.
I like it. Okay. So her motivation being that she feels it's her fault. She feels guilty about this. She feels like it's on her.
Like, if you and your lady wife ended up in Pan's Labyrinth, and you're at that table with the weird eye guy, and you've just nipped back and to top up the wine or something, and then you end up in prison for 15 years, and you're like, bullshit, need to get her out. But more so.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So I'm understanding you more clearly now. He finds out that she's been in prison all these years.
No, sorry. I mean, like, she getting him out.
She getting him out? He's the one in prison?
No, she getting her getting him out of whatever's through the hotel room.
I mean, then I would ask you what you think is inside the hotel room, because I'm just seeing it as a normal hotel room that just leads to two different worlds. If we're talking about him being in some sort of like hell, like trapped and suffering, that's a whole different idea for the room, which is fine. We just need to talk about it. And I thought we were already outlining. What do you think? We got about 20 minutes left in the show.
Well, then we should go with what we have on paper.
The reverse of Inception. All right, so again, so I'm seeing she's coming out of prison, but you're right. We do need a motivation for her. You are correct about that. We do need some sort of a motivation for her. Now, the hotel being, demolished soon is not incentive enough on its own, maybe. Maybe it should be something deeper. But I mean, ultimately... Okay, how about this? she has absolutely no hope of actually seeing her husband that day. She's not going there in search of her husband. As far as she knows, her husband disappeared 15 years ago. He's never coming back. She's been in prison 15 years. She made her peace with this a long time ago. She's going back to the hotel because she, sees in the paper or whatever, historical landmark hotel is being demolished, blah, blah, blah. She goes there to confront her trauma, the thing that like ruined her life. And when she goes into the room, she's surprised to see it pristine, to see it as if otherworldly, somehow magically completely intact, and her husband there. And as they speak to each other, she realizes he's been having a great life, comparatively at least, to her own. I'm sure he's had his own problems. This probably went pretty badly on his end too. But she was in prison for 15 years for a crime she didn't commit, and had ultimately assumed that even if she hadn't killed him, somebody had, and he's been dead for 15 years or whatever. And now here he is, and he's fine. The animosity between them, I think, would be palpable in that situation. Him being completely clueless about how much she's suffered and how guilty she feels he is. He doesn't have that guilt. He's been confused as much as she has, right? Like, he doesn't know what happened or why this is happening again. What if he's there with his new wife?
So how much time are we saying has passed for him?
See, I don't know, man, because I think it's interesting if the same amount of time has passed for the two of them. Only because of your pitch of having it be like this sort of celestial event.
Yeah.
Happening every certain number of years or whatever.
Does he have buttons for eyes?
Coraline? No, he doesn't have buttons for eyes. I thought he was dead. I might not want to return. There needs to be another reason to go. Was being destroyed unless for some reason I believed he was stuck there. Well, I think back to that scene in Forrest Gump where Jenny is on a walk with Forrest, and they come upon her old house where she was abused by her father and had a horrible, horrible childhood that she, actively tried to get away from and has been using substances for years to try to forget. There it is, the house that caused her all this nightmare and pain, and all she wanted to do was throw rocks at it. Some sort of cathartic release for her. And I think that's kind of where I'm coming from with this whole like going back to it and confronting it thing. As this like place that ruined your life. Anyway, that's where I'm coming from, Aphrodite. So his universe, he didn't go to prison for his wife missing. He jumped back to a time or dimension where he doesn't exist or have a passport or identity. I don't know, like maybe we could go that route. Maybe we could go the route that it could be as simple as his hotel in his dimension didn't have video surveillance like her version did. And so he wasn't caught on any videos coming or going from the room. There's no, tangible evidence of any kind of foul play. And maybe they just assumed that she left the room. She left him. She disappeared willingly, maybe. Maybe she left
What
him.
if the reason she's gone back is because there's a hint that he's there?
She's written a whole story here. In his world, she was snatched and murdered because the bellhop was found with her wallet, and the bellhop went to jail for her murder, and he's just assumed she was dead. That's a whole story all by itself. I want to know about this bellhop. What's he got going on? He went back for the anniversary of her death. In his universe, she's dead. He goes back and finds her alive. That's his shock. That's his surprise, right? Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going, or that it will be destroyed, or I'm not suggesting that she wants to like say goodbye to the place. It's more about like being able to throw shit at it one last time before it's gone, kind of thing, or maybe to shout at it. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of get things out. But as she's exploring it and whatnot,
I
she
like the
inevitably ends up at that room.
I like the idea that she is essentially there to throw rocks at it, and
Yeah, like metaphorical rocks, but yeah.
and maybe a less metaphorical baseball bat.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good idea. Some kind of, or if it's
I do
a
like
demolition site, there might be crowbars and shit. And
I do like the visual
nearby.
of which isn't great for literature, I know, but I do like the visual of a place that's it's shut down. There's maybe some graffiti on the walls. The electric's off, and she opens the door, and it's, as you say, pristine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It's 5 stars, but it's just that room because it's just this thing that's like stuck out of time and dimension and space. Yeah. Okay. So then, what's the worst thing that can possibly happen? That's where the crisis ends. It's the worst thing that can possibly happen happening. He tries to kill her because he's got a whole new life now, and her being back threatens that.
If you're saying like what would be the worst thing that could happen to this character of the wife,
Margaret?
it's she steps out the room. It's 15 years ago, and she gets sent to prison for murder all over again.
That's cruel, man.
It's what's the Tom Cruise film? Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah, End of Days or whatever it's called. Or no, Edge of Tomorrow. Edge of Tomorrow. She kills him for real because she has PTSD. Or yeah, like yeah, she kills him for real. Can't go to jail twice. She already killed him. Death knocks twice. I like it. Okay, so the worst thing that can possibly happen to her, though, before she kills him, because I think that's where we're headed, right? She kills him.
Bloody hell, you lot! I wanted them to have a happy ending.
Yeah, I'm not a romantic man. Or I am,
Your
but not
poor
in this.
wife.
In literature, Martin. Want my characters to suffer. All right, no. So maybe she doesn't kill him. But the worst thing that can possibly happen, I still think, is that he tries to kill her. Well, do we have anything better than that? Because I think that's where it would go, right? If he had a whole other life, maybe even a whole other wife, kids now and everything. And especially if, as suggested, she's been officially dead in his reality.
If
right?
she's been officially dead for 15 years, is he going to assume that she's a apparition or an alien or a monster or something that he needs to bludgeon?
There you go. Maybe he thinks that she's a demon or something, trying to trick him or whatever, and he attacks her. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. All right. But they gotta have their talk. I feel like their talk is really important. Is it maybe? So they're having their talk, and throughout their talk, his suspicion of her grows.
Yeah.
He would suspect her right away, though. I feel like is what you're suggesting, and I think you're right. He would suspect something is up because his dead wife is standing in front of him. Maybe. Well, I mean, if it were me and my wife had passed, and years later I saw her, I would think it's a ghost first and foremost, and we would deduce otherwise as we conversed. But sorry, go ahead.
If this, if there's these two mirror universes, and you can only cross over at the exact time, then maybe when they first meet, it's not quite aligned and they are unable to touch each other yet. So any attempts at violence would result in irritable passing through unharmed.
Okay.
If you don't want him to just kill her.
I don't. Well, I want him to try to kill her, at least. We can still get a happy ending somehow.
They could be they could be screwed, but they could what Stargate?
I'm not sure what we ripped off from Stargate, but now I'm paranoid. But yeah, okay.
I quite like the idea that maybe they sort it so it can't happen to the next bunch of newlyweds.
Tear the place down. Well, I mean, the place is being torn down in her reality anyway. What about his? Maybe they tear it down in his too. Does she stay in his reality with him? Does she go back to her own? Does he come back to hers? There's many ways we can go with this. She faints because she never believed he was dead, and when he leaves and comes back with a cool cloth to find the young version of his wife in bed, she no longer has the memory of her. Confused about the end there, but
yeah,
okay.
I like the
15 years of the alternate life, and he stays loyal to her because she never gave up on him. There's your romance, Martin.
I like the idea that there's another version of her.
One that he lived with this whole time?
Possibly.
Then he would suspect her of being some sort of doppelganger, some sort of, shape-shifting, demon, as I said, and some sort of malicious force trying to trick him.
Yeah. But for your
to steal him away from her, from his wife.
What could be the worst possible thing that could happen to the character? He's living with her and has no want or need for the real her. That would be pretty much a low point if she found that.
He has no need to go. He has no need for her because he
doesn't need her to rescue him.
Yeah.
Which has been her whole point of being for.
I don't know that rescuing him has been her point of being, though, because as said, she's been in prison for a murder she didn't commit. He never came back. He never showed up again. No body. There's no explanation to what happened to him, but she went down for it. She suffered for it. I don't know. I feel like there would be, at the very least, some resentment there. I don't know that she would be so happy to see him. Especially if we're going with the idea that this place, this room, ruined her life because of what happened, and she's returning to this place to throw rocks at it, right? If that's why she's coming back here, she's not coming back here to save him. She's not coming back here to find him. Finding him is a surprise. It's the thing that throws the whole story into gear. So then the question is, and we're following her. I think it's pretty clear we're following her, not so much him. So we have to think of what's the worst thing that can happen for her. And on on one hand, you're right. The worst thing that can happen to her is to relive prison all over again. But I think maybe in the moment of being in that room, being in that conversation with him, what's the worst thing that can happen in that moment, in that place, in that space, in that time? And that's where the animosity between them comes in. Now, I was originally thinking, as I said earlier, he attacks her, but it seems like this whole thing ruined her life. She might be the one to attack him, as you said.
Yeah.
Is that the worst thing that can happen to her, so to speak? Is her losing control over herself and attacking him and trying to actually do the thing that she was convicted of doing? And does she go through with it, or does she stop herself?
I mean, would the worst thing that could happen to her be her fight? And this is just throwing ideas up,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
could it be her believing she did kill him?
And what? So then, what happens when confronted with him before her again?
Um,
So like for example, I like that. I like what you're saying because it makes me think of Adnan Syed. I mentioned this before on the Shelley Tagilsky episode. I don't know if you were there for that. I don't remember, but Adnan. One of the saddest things that I remember from listening to Serial about Adnan Syed is, he's maintained his innocence for so long. He's adamant that he did not do this thing and that he's in prison for a crime he didn't commit. But the saddest thing was when he explained that he's been there for so long and so many people have agreed that he has done this thing to the point where he's serving time for it. And so much of the case is confusing and so much of his memory of it is confusing that sometimes he finds himself wondering, am I crazy? Have I gone insane? Did I actually do this thing and have no memory of it? Is it possible that they're all correct? They're all right and I actually did do this and I don't know that I did it. Could that be true? And just the mind fuck, so to speak, of being in prison for decades for a crime you didn't commit. That's some heavy shit. So I'm picking up what you're putting down when you say that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's something that rings true to the character. What if she over time came to actually believe that she did this? What if in fact she wasn't just in prison but instead in some sort of psychiatric prison being fed pills and therapy that's telling her you did this thing and you need to accept that you did this thing, even though she has absolutely no memory of ever doing such a thing, and has to, over the course of 15 years, accept that thing as something that she did, even though she didn't. That's pretty messed up stuff. Like to actually believe it and then to see him and know that you didn't actually do it would be pretty nuts. But then what does that make her do? How does that, how does her decision making progress from there? Did he stage it, Aphrodite? Because with the whole kind of like we're trying to make it a little Twilight Zoney, a little sci-fi, and giving an actual like almost supernatural element to this room, and so him having staged it doesn't track with me. I don't feel that rings true. It feels like this would be something that neither of them understands. It wasn't intentional on either of their parts. The rub is where it turned out fine for him and it turned out horrible for her, right? That's the rub. That's where it gets
so we're saying that they went to a hotel room. They both walked out the hotel room to different places. She got arrested for his murder. He, whilst not having a lovely time of it, had a much nicer time of it.
Or are we going with the whole thing that he has a version of her in his reality? Because I don't mind that either. I think that's interesting. Because then when confronted with her return, he doesn't necessarily need her because he already has her. And we can play with that a little bit too. I don't know. I think there's something there too.
If there's another version of her, is it a mirror universe version of her with a goatee beard, or is it something else impersonating her?
I don't see it as anyone else impersonating her. Okay. I mean, unless that's where we want to go with it, because then that would suggest some sort of like, grand design to this thing.
Because if he's just if he's just crossed over to another reality with another her, then what's the connection to our version of her? And does he want her back? And does he realise and want what he lost? Or is it just, oh, okay, nice to see you again. We're off back home now. Got to look after the kids.
See, that all of that just makes me want to go back to the idea of she walks out into a universe where he's disappeared and he walks out into one where she has disappeared. We would have to explain why it didn't go as badly for him as it did for her. I understand that there's something plot holey there, but the reason that I like that better is because if he's they're newlyweds, so if he's had her all along, then nothing really happened to him at all. And if their initial marriage and union is abruptly torn apart by this room and sent in very different directions, I feel like that's more interesting character development than he just had a fine time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like if they both had their own separate, maybe even equally horrible experiences, I don't know, but like as long as they both went through some shit, I feel like that's important. Right, exactly. So that's why I don't like the whole doppelganger things.
Okay.
The idea being that like the room being almost like this this gateway that goes to different places, so to speak. And so like when she opened the door and left the room, she goes to universe A, and when he opens the door and leaves the room, he goes to universe B. But in both of their universes, they had both gone into that room. So when they both come out, one is missing in each. Anyway, that's how I'm seeing it, is that one is missing in each side. Yeah, so for her, he left the room and never came back. For him, he came back and she was gone. Yeah, exactly. They each were just separated by that room into separate lives, separate universes, and time took them through the next 15 years in very separate roads, and then they come back to this room, on the same day. We would need a good reason why he's back, I feel like.
Are they just going to kill each other?
I don't know. I feel like
I kind of feel like we need to know where they're what the end game is to figure out what their reasonings for everything that came before is.
Okay. Well, we're out of time.
So we're leaving it on a cliffhanger.
We're going to have to pick this up next week on Sunday.
But we can do work in between, right?
No, we cannot. We're supposed to build this thing from scratch. So next Sunday, we got to get to work. But I honestly feel pretty good about this. I feel like we're off to a good start. We have some good ideas. I think that next time we're going to come with fresh ideas to nail down how this thing is going to end. Fill out this outline in the first half of that show, and then start writing the real deal. Split it up and start writing it.
But people would see what we're typing.
Yes, that's the idea.
Oh my word!
You're going to be bare and vulnerable, Martin.
Oh, I don't like the idea of that at all.
You're going to feel naked before them all.
No one said it was going to be that kind of stream.
It is that kind of stream. All right, here we go. I'm just kidding. All right, so thank you, everybody. Martin, tell everybody where they can find you next.
You can find me at bradleylejeune.com. I am one half of Bradley Lejeune, behind the McMurdo Rift series, book 1 now available. And I will be on my YouTube channel at the end of the month for another Flash Aha with Richard Holiday.
You know, every time I see it in writing, I always hear Flash. Right?
Yes, it's like that's where we got the name from or something.
I'm clever. All right, y'all. Thank you very much for being here. Like, comment, subscribe. Tuesday, we are wrapping up Nightmare Tenant by Richard Holiday. And then 2 weeks after that, we're interviewing the dude to find out where he got these crazy ideas. There is no Typewriters podcast this Thursday, but I'm thinking of doing like a little live chronicles type deal. So I'll let you guys know. Keep an eye on my Instagram, all that good stuff. Martin, thank you for being here.
Thank you
for joining me. This has been fun and very, very nerve-wracking, and that was the whole point. So I'm glad that we did this, and next time we will do it better and better and better until it's over. All right, y'all. Right on, writers. Click the button, and we're out.